Hey there! So today we have another review. This is a beer from Jolly Pumpkin. This is Noel. I've never had this one. This got a pumpkin with a Christmas hat on there. Yeah. And this is a wild, dark, strong holiday ale. Deep mahogany, hints of fruit and spice. 100%. What does Jolly Pumpkin do with Christmas ale? We'll see how it turns out. I love they just ride the theme, just like mixed fermentation, wild ale, and just like let it rock. My favorite is this is a winter beer. This is canned in right after July 4th, July 8th. Hey, gets better in the can. Who cares? No L. So there's certainly a little bit of like, gotta be Carafa, Special B, or something like that. There's some darker malt in here, right? So there's this, it looks like a quad, right? There's this really nice kind of like medium brown color, a little bit of like garnet hues in the light. Definitely quite opaque. Get a definitely a like medium tan on medium light to medium tan head on that. But yeah, let's see how this guy turns out. Any spices or anything crazy in there? There's a fruit and spice. So any other detail? Well, I think there's no details because like this part of the can takes up so much of the art. Art takes so much part of the can. So okay. Ah, what is that? There's a really nice kind of what is that called? It's like a toasted bready quality, right? I get this kind of like it smells almost like it smells a little bit like infected barley wine. It smells a little bit like infected Belgian dark strong ale, which I've never had, but like specifically reminds me of like Bourbon County barley wine when it was infected. You get a little bit of sourness. You get really nice kind of rich malt character. You get a little bit of dried fruit. I don't need dried fruit. Raisins and sort of like plums, stewed plums, a little bit of like fruit candy, like what is it called, like fruit roll up, like adult fruit roll up kind of thing, like sort of macerated cooked fruits that's like turned into like a dried Laffy Taffy kind of like shape thing. What else? Stewed apples, a little bit of like a little bit of baking spice in there as well. So along with that apple thing is like a fruit cake character, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of nutmeg. Oh, nice. And there's definitely a little bit of acetic in here, right? A little bit of vinegar quality. Oh, wow. Yeah. So on the palate, it goes even further. It really does taste like they got a nice big malty beer and just made it infected. Which goes to show that there are infected beers that sort of taste good because like that's sort of what they're doing here, right? It's like a big malty 9% beer with a little bit of robust kind of like light, very very light roast character, medium um, toasted breadiness, but then it's like led on by like a little bit of lactic, a solid amount of acetic, and then it's nice and dry, a little bit spicy. It's so weird. Wow. It has a little bit of this kind of oud brune character, right? The rich malt character, a little bit of that kind of acidity. Um, Not as zippy and light and lactic as Flanders. It's more malt driven. So it's like a little bit. It's a good amount of malt. It's like a chewy thing. Um, Again, sort of think a little bit of like barley wine, doppelbock, maybe a little bit of Belgian dark strong ale, and then there's the city behind it, which is very strange. Like full blind, you'd be like, "Is this an infected beer? Like, why is this malty, big malty ale acidic?" And then you play with a little bit of tart plum character, a little bit of tart cherries, a little bit of Bing cherries, a little bit of malt in there, dry. For me, you know what? It is just what it is. Like for me, I wish there was a little bit of balance. I also don't think in general these kind of big, like higher ABV malty plus acidity is not necessarily the best place to go. Granted, one of the clashes is also acidity and roast, so they didn't really go roast here, which is good. Like that's sort of the trick in making dark saisons. It's like clashing of like funk and yeast character and roast. Like these are weird things, and sometimes acidity. Here, it's just like it is what it is, and objectively, I think it is sometimes a little bit of clash of flavors. But this is a Jolly Pumpkin thing to do. It just has the house strain on a big beer, and how they make these beers, it just allows for nuance. It allows for nothing specifically to really overly dominate the beer. Again, the acidity here is not overly dominant to really ride over the beer. The fruit characteristics and the spicy phenols don't really take over. The malt doesn't take over. Um, it's just like a little bit nutty, a little bit nutty, a little bit roasty, a little bit fruity, a little bit acidic, a little bit dry. Yeah, again, full blind, I would have guessed like what an infected beer is this, but this is intentional, and this is what they hit. And again, when you have an infected beer, you have no control over, like I mean, ideally, you didn't well, you didn't brew the beer to be infected. Here, they brewed the beer obviously to be infected, and what you get is another Jolly Pumpkin special where it's like, again, I list all these flavors, but nothing is like out of a 10, nothing's like a 7, 8, or 9. Or like 8, 9, 10. Like nothing's at 8, 9, 10. There's just elements that all sit around 3 to 7, right? There's just a range of flavors that sit around that like medium point where nothing really is popping out at you, and it makes a beer. Again, when we talk about balance, here's some balance going on, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you like it or not is a different issue. The balance is definitely here. And as I drink more, I'm actually enjoying it more because you get a little bit more vinous character. The acidity of this beer sort of matches wine, with the malt sort of matches sweetness. The acidity matches the acidity of wine. The dark fruit character matches wine. So you get a little bit of red wine character, which is actually very tasty. Which is sort of the goal of like Flanders Red and Oudburn, or at least like mentally, like analogies of flavor. A lot of words. Jelly Pumpkin crushing it. This one's very good. Tasty stuff. For me, a little bit dry. I think either a little bit more acidity or a little bit more malt. Sort of like, I just want a little bit more. So like, if everything was like balanced out in the sort of like 3 to 7 range on the levers, I think like maybe a little bit more acidity would make it a little bit more fun. Maybe, who knows? But this beer gets a 92. That is Noel from Jolly Pumpkin. Fantastic. Excuse me, fun stuff. Later.